So in the conversation about 60 FPS versus 30 FPS, a lot of people swear that PlayStation 5 can do 60 FPS. Why should Starfield not be able to do 60 FPS? The one thing a lot of folk don't necessarily tell you as well is the PlayStation 5 games are designed from ground up to be able to run at 60 FPS. There's an example that is very apparent in front of everybody that I feel is necessary to point out in this conversation. And that is the fact that Marvel's Spider-Man from 2018 actually has two different versions. There's a 2018 version, and there's a version that was made for a remaster. That's the version that runs at 60 FPS on the PS5. The 2018 version till this day cannot even be brute forced to run at 60 FPS. Why is that the case? Was it that Sony wanted to make more money, so they went ahead and made the 60 FPS version? Was it because they wanted to basically use another game to launch the PS5? It could be those reasons, but I think it's much more technical than that. You see, in game design and game development, there is something that's called frame time persistence. This is where your game is running and actually ticking every frame at a specific time frequency. In video games, if your time frequency is 16 millimeters per second, you're going to get 60 FPS for every time that each frame is ticking at that frequency. If the whole game ticks at that frequency or less, the performance is going to be smooth the entire game. The versions of Gotham Knights and Arkham Knight on PC right now are actually capable of doing it. I know many of you don't know that Arkham Knight was broken when it launched on PC. Go back to the history books, maybe go to Angry Joe's channel, or go back to, say, the folk that were doing a lot of the reviews then. The game was so broken, they had to take it off of Steam. This is Batman Arkham Knight on PC. So before you give me that Arkham Knight talk, maybe you might want to go do a little bit of history and see what's going on. If your game is designed at 33 milliseconds, you're going to get 30 FPS. So Spider-Man on PlayStation was designed, the two different versions were designed at both 33 millisecond persistence, which is this one here, the 2018 one for PS4, and another one was designed for 60 milliseconds for its frame persistence. This is how you're able to differentiate these video games. So when you see Horizon Zero Dawn and God of War Ragnarok running at 60 FPS on the PS5, it's because they started from ground up to do it. If they didn't do it from ground up, they would probably have a hard time brute forcing the old version to just run on the PS5. And I think a lot of people kind of misconstrue that because they go ahead and say, well, God of War Ragnarok is a PS4 game anyways. Ha 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 ha. PlayStation has no games. That's a stupid. Anybody that tells you that, tell them that they're crazy. And I know console wars go back and forth. I don't care about either. I game on PC, but I want to make sure that we straighten out our arguments because some people will say, well, Horizon Forbidden West has a PS4 version. I know, but that version was designed for the PlayStation 4 to be able to run at the persistence that the PlayStation 4 is able to support, which is 33 milliseconds, and is able to run that frame time 30 FPS. They could have designed Horizon Forbidden West to run 60 FPS on a PS4, but they decided it will limit our game, so we'll stick that one on 30 FPS on the PS4, the older machine, and then we're going to come to the newer machine, and we're going to basically develop for 16 milliseconds in terms of our frame time persistence. So, what is going on here? I'm making this video because I want to basically help everybody realize that's watching, that cares or is concerned about this, that a lot of these video games, you cannot just pretty much, force that game that is designed with 30 FPS in mind to go to 60 FPS on its target consoles by just giving a performance mode. Performance mode is not just an option that you just turn on. You have to also consider that every single video game that you're going to pretty much have to run on this is going to have to deal with performance issues because you're not going to get the consistency, overall, unless, of course, you design the game and design elements in the game specifically to do the job. Like this Final Fantasy demo here, when they did the performance, a lot of people used it for console war fighting. Oh, it's not even running at the full 60 FPS. When in reality, the truth about the matter is the performance mode versus the quality mode were actually specifically designed to be able to get you that performance. So in this particular shot here, you're going to see that the quality mode gives you more detail on the rocks. The performance mode takes it away. So the devs at Square Enix are purposefully scaling their game to give you two different options. So basically, as they were building their game, they were like, okay, frame persistence here, we're getting 33 milliseconds in quality mode. How are we going to get in this scene here the game to run at 60 FPS? So they went ahead and they started digging. They started looking and say, okay, we're going to reduce the detail here. We're going to do this and then see how the performance works. And then they were going from there. So every frame, you have to be designing your game to move in that direction. If you don't ever consider it, at the end of the game, you're not going to be able to just toggle that performance mode and then hope that it goes to 60 FPS, because what you're going to have is you're going to have a world of hurt in your hand. You're going to have your game dropping 20, 30, sometimes 40 FPS because your GPU and your CPU will be throttling. That's another thing a lot of people don't necessarily talk about. The hardware has to actually compensate for heat. So when the hardware gets too hot, having to run those textures at 60 FPS, it's going to have to go back and say, you know what? We're not going to do that not right now. We're going to basically reduce our performance so that your PlayStation 5 or your Series X doesn't blow up. That's pretty much what these hardware would do, because they have a fan, they have all kinds of monitoring sensors in there that are telling them, okay, run it at this point. So what's best for the console, the machine itself, is that you keep the frame persistence stable so that the hardware can behave also in a stable way when you run it for 12 hours straight. Because some people will play their video games for 12 hours straight. That's a thing, or even more. So ideally, it comes down to building the game from scratch to be able to do it. Building the game from scratch to be able to run at that particular performance. Games that are big will have a harder time doing this. So Starfield, number one, they didn't even build it with that 60 FPS in mind for consoles. So that already is a wash. Even though some aspects of the game might play 60 FPS, Lord knows what it was dropping to before they decided, we're just going to lock it on the Xbox Series X. Because the Xbox Series X is limited to what it can do. I mean, even in this presentation here that I usually show whenever I'm talking about this, the whole hardware thing is a budget. It's like money. It's like a bank account. This is where I learned this concept from, by the way. Unreal Engine developers actually teach this stuff. This is a conference that they did where they were teaching developers in 2022 about how they should start maximizing their game's optimization. And they do it from the moment the game starts. Now, PC configuration is also different. You have to develop your game separately in a sense with the PC development in mind. And most PC games are designed with the 16 millisecond frame persistence, while on console, many times developers, for the sake of detail, texture quality, being able to make the game look good, they'll go to the 30 FPS route. I've seen a lot of folk also cite games like GTA. They'll say, well, GTA 5 or is this and that and whatever. And it's like, well, maybe you didn't realize that Rockstar also went ahead to, delay their GTA PC release by over a year. The Red Dead Redemption 2 PC release by over a year as well. Why are they doing that? Is it because they want to just have a console exclusive? No, it's because they do a lot of their development in-house. And so for their PC version, they're just basically going to go ahead and take their time and make the PC version so that they can deliver the console game, start having sales, and then the PC version is still going to sell just as well. Many studios do this. Again, your favorite Insomniac studio, Spider-Man, they had to basically have another studio work with them, or actually, for the most part, take on the reins to make the 60 FPS version or to make the PC version for Marvel's Spider-Man. And so have other studios been able to do the PC versions for God of War, for Horizon Zero Dawn, for Days Gone, and all of the other PlayStation exclusives. These are coming afterwards because it's giving PlayStation time, it's giving developers time to be able to go ahead and work on these projects. So when you say Spider-Man can run on the PlayStation 5, please tell us the truth that Spider-Man that was designed and redeveloped for the PS5 can run at 60 FPS. The 2018 one is not likely to run on the PS5 by brute force just because it's a much more powerful machine. It would have to be tweaked. It'll have to be re-optimized. It'll have to make changes to textures, to details, and so on and so forth in order to get the job done. At the end of the day, now that you know this, there are limitations everywhere. I recommend that one of the best things that you can do if you're actually, very concerned about playing your games at these performances is that you probably start exploring buying a PC. Before you jump on me that a PC is too expensive, understand that your very first PC, unless you have a lot of extra money to spend, is not going to be the cleanest and most powerful PC in the world. You actually, if you're on a budget constraint, have to build like you're building a house. If say you were building a house out of your own funds and you didn't have all of the money, how would you do it? The very first thing you would do is you would basically buy the land. The next thing you would do is build your foundation. This is how you're going to build the very best PC that you can actually get in the market. So understanding the PC architecture is probably going to be your very first bet. Start exploring, because they're going to sell you another PS5 Pro and another studio is going to make a crazy big, what do they call it? Big game that is very ambitious, and you're going to still be stuck in the very same place. So understanding this is going to be very important and it's going to be helpful for you. Even when you even look at, say, the way they actually, the PlayStation and Xbox agreements are structured, they actually have an as is, as available type disclaimer that you agree to when it comes to their terms of service. In fact, they write in part 17 of the PlayStation's, terms of service, no warranty is given about the quality, functionality, availability, or performance of PSN services, or any feature or content offered on or through PSN. All services and content are provided as is and is available with all faults. That's wild. This is the Microsoft version. They say the application is licensed as is with all faults and is available. You bear the entire risk as to its quality, safety, comfort, and performance. I mean, they literally are giving you very, very stringent terms as to how you use their hardware and software. So the freedom that a lot of players are actually seeking within the console ecosystem is actually not there. The system is already closed. The agreements that you sign are already closed. So it's kind of hard for you to be able to do anything like modify your hardware anyways to be able to give you better performance. And so this is very interesting overall, because at the end of the day, a lot of people are very concerned about getting their games to play at these, performances, but they don't want to take the step that will guarantee it for almost every single game out there. The step to guarantee it is to actually build a PC. You build one, you're not necessarily going to regret the performance that you're going to get. Also, there are many advantages that I can cite in this video, but this is not the video for it. This was just a video to just talk about why you're seeing these discrepancies. And it's because there really is no, law written anywhere that all these games should run at 60 FPS. That's going to screw competition over like crazy. So you are at risk, if you still have a console and you're getting the next console, of having a game that maybe gives you 30 FPS as its base and then tells you, oh, but we have a performance mode. And, hopefully you're in a position where the performance mode can actually run very well, because what if that performance mode is not going to run very well? What if the performance mode is maybe making your head hurt because it's dropping from 60 frames per second to 35 frames per second? You're still going to be, put in a position where you lock it back to a quality mode at 30 FPS. But if you have the game on a PC or you're playing on a PC, then that option is now limited for the game, because you can brute force it. You can decide and say, you know what? I like this game. I'm going to get my PC to where it can play this game at this performance. And you take charge of your own gaming and your own gaming performance and your own preferences. This is just my video on this matter. Thanks for watching. Peace out.